to Senior Travel Adventures. Thank you for joining me today for my show. Today, we're going to speak to Martin Rosa, who is one of our residents, about his recent travels to Indonesia. And I'm also going to speak to a lovely woman, Joyce Perrin, who is 87 years young and has traveled to over 156 countries. Joyce is simply amazing. And for our In Our Backyard segment, I will speak to Mindy from the New York Club. So stay tuned. Well, welcome back to Senior Travel Adventures. Today I have the pleasure of having my friend Martin Rosa with me. So Martin, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Debbie. I greatly appreciate it. And it's great to see you. It's been a while, nonetheless, but no, I just did return from a 3-month stay in Indonesia. That is quite a length of time.
Well, during your trip, you shared a lot of things on social media and some pictures and things, and I was like, okay, this is very cool. So, what I was hoping was you could kind of like highlight the places that you saw. I know you saw so much in 3 months. We could take, 4 episodes to talk about it. So, you went to Jakarta, you went to Bali, you saw elephants. So, talk a little bit about that for us.
Okay, well, what got me there was the fact that my wife Elvie is from Indonesia. Lots of family there up in the village of Watame, which is near the main city of Manado, way up in the northeast of the country. So that was kind of like our home base. And right there, that's of course is where the Bunaken National Reserve is, which is world-class scuba diving, as well as the Tandano calderas, the mountains there where every 5 years there's an emission of there's like it erupts. That
Okay.
anyways, that hikers love to go up there and explore, and so it's a world-class place for hikers to go for being able to see that kind of stuff. Um, uh, that was in Manado. It's predominantly Christian there. Now, in Indonesia, the identifications that people have to carry that are Indonesian, they have to state their religion on that ID card. And in Manado, it's primarily Christian. In Jakarta, it's primarily Muslim. In Bali, it was primarily Buddhist and Hindu. Anyways,
Wow.
yeah. But there's a mutual respect there. I mean, when I was there, they really, Indonesia, of course, was a colony of the Dutch that they had for like 250 years. They're very infatuated with your nose.
Okay.
Yeah, they want to take pictures with you, and they infatuated with the nose. I don't get it, but they were they're such a peaceful people, very respectful, very respectful of their elders. And it was like it was a refreshment to see, if you know what I mean. Um,
Right.
yeah, and there's no real
We
stop
qualify.
signs and yeah. Well, there's no real stop
Elders.
signs and traffic lights there, but everybody as traffic is merging in and out and crossing, everybody gives way to the other, and they give like a thank you honk and a you're welcome honk back. It was really quite the thing to see. But you don't want to drive there. No, you do not. It's something that and because the thing of it is, yeah, of course they drive on the other side of the road, but then to hire a driver there, you can see our dollar goes quite a ways there. It only would cost us like $20 to hire a driver with his car, with his gas for the entire day to go
Wow.
wherever we would have to go. And it was like, it was a no brainer in that
Yeah.
sense.
I've heard Asia, several places in Asia, Thailand, and some of the other places that it's very economical for travel. In fact, I saw some people from the Thailand Board of Tourism at a recent travel show I went to, and they want people to come visit. And your dollar does go so much farther there than some of the other places. So, a lot of my listeners and followers, they will always want to hear about Bali because Bali is just this mystical place. So tell me a little bit about Bali.
Oh, Bali was magical. Um, First, we fly into Bali, but then we jump on a little island jumper and we fly to Labuan Bajo, okay, where we boarded a boat that it was like a dive boat with 8 guests and 4 crewmen, and that's where we cruised off to Komodo Island, where we were able to walk with those magnificent giants there, those Komodo dragons. It was one of those bucket list items that you have to do, in your
Right.
lifetime. And I was very happy to say that I did it. And then, of course, we go down and the water there is just beautiful, shallow, very pristine, and you snorkel with the manta rays, and that is just an incredible experience. And then at sunset, all the boats they end up in this one little cove, like, and then you see about at sunset, you see a million bats fly from one island to another. And I'm not talking about these like little bats. I'm talking about 3 foot wingspan bats. That was quite, and there's like, they said about a million of them that fly right
Wow.
over. It's just remarkable to see. And it's just a beautiful setting. And the dolphins following the boat. It was just, quite a thing to do. Then we jump back on and we go to Bali. Okay. And of course, in Bali, unlike Manado, in Manado, with your dollar going a long way, they don't tip in Manado, in Jakarta. But in Bali, there is tipping because it's more touristy than in the other regions of Indonesia. But in Bali, we then go out on our ride, or to go out and see the amazing things that we got to see, like the what was that the Garuda Wisnu Kincana statue at the Multicultural Center. Huge statue that you see from way afar. That thing is like one of the largest massive statues that's in the world, and it's just an incredible Hindu statue that is just amazing to see. The we then you for the evening you stop off at the Abood Monkey Forest, and you see all these monkeys running. And then at dusk you see the fire dance, where they put on this incredible show that all these dancers at sunset are doing. Now we go back out, and the next we go up to Baritan Lake, way up in central Bali. It's up in the mountains, and that's where you see many different temples, Hindu and Buddhist temples that are just, and the peaceful people are so peaceful and so respectful, and we had such a beautiful time up there. It was incredible to see. And then we went up to the of course, being in Borneo, or excuse me, being in Indonesia, I wanted to go to Borneo to see the orangutans, but that's a little bit out of the way. So instead, we did go to the Bali Zoo, and we got to see the orangutans and to ride elephants, and we got to even see wild elephants in the river that we were able to pass by. It was quite the thing to behold, and we had a fantastic. The beaches there are just so beautiful and just so much to see, and the water is just beautiful.
I saw so many great pictures and things from there. I mean, um, what are like the top three things that are in your brain right now that you're still thinking about, having been home now a few months?
With Bali,
With Indonesia in general, not just
oh,
Bali.
Oh, well, I think the top three things, the jungles up in the mountains of Tondano, to see where they make palm sugar, how they pull it out of that was quite a thing to see. There's a lot of rain that comes on in that region there, right near the equator and whatnot. The and so to see that how that is made, and they even like distill it for whiskey, but they make palm sugar that is just so. I was putting it on my oatmeal every morning. It was fantastic. The mountains there, Bali, yeah, well, Komodo Island was just incredible. It was fantastic. And then, of course, we did in making it to Jakarta. That's quite a bustling city, as you well know. It's like it's an administrative, industrial, economic capital, and Jakarta. It's huge.
Right,
Its metropolitan area is second only to Tokyo.
right.
Not nobody realizing it's that big, but
Is it ever cool there, or it is always hot?
oh, it in Tondano where we were at, the high was 82, the low was 74 every day, every month. It's that way. You're so close to the equator.
It sounds like you had just an incredible experience, the experience of a lifetime, and that's why I wanted you to share it with the audience here in our community. And part of what my whole show is about is bringing in residents who have done some really incredible experiences like yours. So I do appreciate you coming on today.
And I just want to give a shout out to family that is there. That it really made I mean, they were just so warm, receptive, and I mean, it's all a lot about family there, and it was just I felt very welcomed, and it was just they made me feel like a rock star.
Again, I thank you so much for your time today, and I look forward to seeing you in person someday soon. Well, welcome back to Senior Travel Adventures, and I am super excited right now because I have the most wonderful person, Joyce Perrin, with me today. She's the author of the book Ants in My Pants, and I have to agree that I have those too. She started traveling primarily when she was in her late 50s, and she has visited over 156 countries. And she finally settled in Panama for a while, and now she lives in the Toronto area. So, Joyce, thank you so much for being with me today. I can't wait to hear some stories.
Thank you for inviting me. Well, I love sharing my stories and I love traveling solo, even at my age of 87. And so I just encourage people to try it themselves and they will enjoy it. There is so much to learn in this world, and we're so fortunate we can go and visit. So please just, I have so many stories to tell.
I know. I want to hear about a little bit about your time in the Middle East when you worked, and I want to talk about your involvement with the World Health Organization and some of your volunteerism. I think that's something that I think my audience would really enjoy hearing about.
Well, I was divorced, and I had told my children that I always wanted to travel and live in a foreign country. And I started with wanting to be an air stewardess, and you had to be a nurse at that time. And then when I became a nurse, I was too short. So they wouldn't let me be an air stewardess. So I got married, had 3 children, had a wonderful life, and traveled with the 3 children around the Pacific Rim. And it was a wonderful experience. I loved it. But the way I got interested in traveling was we had this lovely set of books You know, this is before internet, before TV. So we had a lovely set of books at home called Lands and Peoples, and it piqued my interest in traveling and seeing people from different cultures where they lived. And I just wanted to meet them. Well, the opportunity came to me when I was a girl guide, and I was chosen to be one of a few people to go to a camp in Sweden. And there I met Lady Baden Powell. And she really was inspiration to me. I met her several times, and it just happened that she was coming back to Edmonton after the camp. And so I saw her again, had a meal, and she signed all my pictures for me. And she had a motto: happiness comes not from what you have, but from what you give and what you share. And that became ingrained in me. And so I decided to work in Saudi Arabia because I needed some money to be able to travel. And I put my things in storage, sold my condo, left it gaining interest, and worked in Saudi Arabia for 3.5 years. Then after that, the World Health Organization recruited me, as did the International Executive Service Corps from the United States. And so I was able to contribute to healthcare in various countries around the world.
I know you had all these very rewarding experiences, and that's what you wrote about in the book. But what do you feel? Do you have one that really stands out, like, or is it just all so good? Or was there like one specific thing that you did that was just ingrained forever and you think about it all the time?
The one well, first of all, my mission was to see the world and visit families in their own country. It wasn't to take a tour, take a cruise, take a bus tour. No, that wasn't my mission. My mission was to meet the people in the country and stay with them. And there were several organizations that you were able to do that. But one was that in Zimbabwe, I saw this post in one of the travel agents, and they said you could go and stay with a family in Zimbabwe. And so I said, well, I want to do that. So I was contributing to their family by paying for this. And the job I had was to do what the women did in their work, daily work. Well, the history in Zimbabwe and the culture is that the women do everything and the man just gives all the orders. I had done a lot of research, and truly that was the case. Well, I arrived, and this is where I got ants in my pants. That is a true story. I was waiting for the bus 3.5 hours, standing. And finally, I threw my scarf on the ground, it's a big kind of thing that you can wrap around you and so on. Threw that in their arm. I was sitting there, and these people started looking at me. I thought, this is funny. Why are they looking at me? And nobody else was sitting on the ground. I should have twigged. But I was exhausted in the heat, trying to get a little shade. Well, then soon I found out why. Well, the men, first of all, I did the Highland fling. I did the river dance. I jumped around. I didn't know what to do. I was wearing slacks. How am I going to get these ants out of my pants with everybody standing around? Well, finally I laughed. And then everybody laughed, and the women said, come on over here, Joyce. By that time, they knew my name. And so they came, and they had these big skirts on, very wide skirts, and they held their skirt up. The men turned the other way. I got in their circle, dropped my pants, got rid of the ants, And then everybody was fine. We became fast friends, and the bus trip finally came. So, and now traveling is so different because you have cell phones and
Right?
you have this instant communication, and they can track you by your cell phone. But I still think it's a good idea. If you're traveling solo and you really should have a dog tag on.
That's a great idea. They have these little thing called road IDs. I used to wear them when I was running, and they had all
Uh-huh.
my personal information. So if something happened while I was running, that they would be able to
Smart
contact my.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but you're right. Having a physical, as much as I love technology, I'm all about having a physical piece as well when you're traveling. How did you end up in Panama?
Well, I ended up in Panama because it was the last of my countries. I had seen all I could in Africa. Some of the countries I couldn't see them. In my book, Ants in My Pants, which is here, there
Mhm.
is a map of the countries that
Yeah, 156 countries, right? That's a lot of countries.
157 countries
Oh,
and 31 territories. All the countries in gray are the ones I've been to. The ones that are white, I didn't get to. And the other message that I really think is important for people, and this is for the people who are 45, 50, 55, and getting ready to retire, that what you do in your 40s and 50s and 60s in health wise, whether it's nutrition, physical fitness, mental health, being able to communicate with people, makes a big difference in your 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s because now people who retire at 60, they've got 30 years to their 90. People will
right.
live to 90s for sure.
Oh, and that's why I travel now. I mean, I traveled for work, but I traveling for now to see my bucket list items. I started a few years ago because right now I have the time, I still have the energy, but I want to have as much energy as you do, when I'm 87, I hope. And I'm just going to keep going until my body says it can't go anymore.
Well,
That's kind
that's
of my.
great. So, and if you want to go to Antarctica, which happens to be my favorite country, my favorite place, then you need to go now.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have amazing stories, and I wish we had more time, but we're going to have to wrap up. And one of the things I would like to just tell the audience is Joyce has a wonderful website. She has her book, and you can read all about her adventures. And I am so fortunate to have met her through Journey Women, and who is on the episode, that April episode. And I just appreciate knowing all your story, and I'm so glad that we got to share this time together today. And I think we could talk for days and days and days about all the fun you've had.
Well, I just encourage women now to travel solo. It's wonderful because you're responsible for yourself and you learn a lot and you really get to know your body when you're traveling. And I just wish everybody safe travels.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Joyce. I appreciate it. And just I've enjoyed this so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here.
So, welcome back to Senior Travel Adventures. This is our segment each month called In Our Backyard. And with me today is Mindy Stein, representing the New York Club, and she's going to tell us about some of the trips that they're planning in our backyard. So, thank you, Mindy, for joining me.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, Mindy, can you tell me a little bit about some of the upcoming things that the New York Club's going to do, and maybe some things you've got planned?
Well, I would love to. We have a trip coming up on May 8th. We're going to the Sony Studios in LA. We're going to be in the Jeopardy audience, and that's very exciting. Also, hopefully include, we're working on it, a tour of the studios and also lunch in the commissary. Maybe you'll see a movie star or two. Who knows? But it should be a fun-filled day.
That sounds fabulous. Years ago, I tried out for Jeopardy. I found out I'm not as smart as I think, but it was fun being there on the studio ground. So, I also saw something about you're going to have a trip to South Dakota.
Yes, we are. We're planning a trip to South Dakota that is already being advertised, September 20th through the 27th. We'll be staying in one hotel, which is great, and traveling from there to the national parks.
Awesome. Well, those sound like wonderful things. Is there anything else on your radar, even if they're just being thought about?
Yes, we do have a plan for June 14th, a Friday. We are going to Santa Anita racetracks. And that'll be lunch as well, and a fun-filled day with reserved seats and a package put together.
Okay, so where can our residents find out more about if they would like to join the New York Club people on the trip? Where would they find out information? I know sometimes it's in the Globe, but where else?
Well, in the Globe, of course, but also please look in the clubhouses. We do have flyers out, but you can also go on our website, which is part of the Laguna Woods websites for clubs, the New York Club, and please look there, and all the PDFs are there.
Great. And I know in case people are listening, and we are talking about trips, but the New York Club has regular meetings. So feel free, residents, to learn more about the New York Club and maybe join them at some of their local events.
Yes,
So
we are a dancing club. So we do dance to rock and roll and slow dancing. And we have a little bit of everything for someone.
awesome. Well,
Please
thank you so
come.
much, Mindy. And I hope that the South Dakota trips, well, they all sound fun. Going to the studio sounds like a blast. So thank you again, and take care and safe travels.
Thank you very much, Debbie. Have a good
All
day.
right. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Mindy. Bye. Well, thank you for joining me today on Senior Travel Adventures. I hope that you're enjoying the show so far. I look forward to interviewing a lot more people and sharing their travel adventures and giving you some tips and tricks about traveling because, life is short, but as you have heard from some of my guests, they're traveling well into their 80s. So it's never too late to start traveling either. Thank you again for joining me. It has been my pleasure to be your host, and safe travels.